My mama used to always say, if you can't be with the one you love, just love the one you're with. And that's what we're talking about today, is love and marriage and the 5 challenges that we face right here on Kim Gravel and the ATL. Today we're talking with relationship expert Hasani Pettiford. I am loving you, dude. The last time I got a chance to interview you, it was off the charts. The calls were coming in. People wanted to hear what you have to say. And now we're going to be talking about marriage today.
Yes.
The 5 challenges,
The 5 challenges. There are a lot of challenges in relationships,
Amen, honey.
Particularly marriage. And oftentimes these challenges, if we don't know how to deal with them effectively, they can ultimately destroy our relationships. And so if we're aware of them, we can overcome them. And so that's what we're going to talk about today.
So what are the 5 challenges? Because there are only 5. Well, because I've been married for 10 years.
There are an incalculable number of challenges, but we've identified that there are 5 main ones that really affect many marriages that we see based upon our interviews and research.
Okay.
Those would happen to be communication, number 1, obviously sex, number 2, parenting styles, right, money, and in-laws. And if we don't deal with these effectively, then we're in some serious trouble.
Well, let's take them one by one.
You know, it's interesting. I was just on a show the other day, and we were dealing with the whole mama-boy scenario, where a husband is married to a woman, but he's still in love with his mama. And so the whole in-law dynamic can cause a problem, because usually over 80% of all conflict with in-laws is between the mother-in-law and daughter-in-law. And in this scenario, you have 2 women that are deeply in love with the same man. And so the man, the husband, is like kind of in a tug-of-war where he's back and forth as to, you know, who he should side with. And it causes a problem. And if you don't have rules and roles and clearly defined boundaries in that marriage, then good-intentioned parents can seep in and destroy that relationship.
Yeah, but what guy is going to set rules and boundaries with his mother?
The Bible says leave and cleave. So when you leave and cleave and you connect with your wife, then that means you're starting a new family, you have new customs, you have new traditions. And if you have other people telling you how to rule and run your home, it can cause a whole lot of problems.
Yeah, mamas can be a little tough.
Mamas can.
And I got 2 boys, so I'm learning. All right, let's talk about, can we just talk about, let's get to the good stuff. Let's just talk about sex.
Let's talk about it.
Let's do it, because I think that's what everybody wants to talk about anyway.
The reality is,
what happens in a marriage?
When people get married, they have different sexual experiences that they bring into the relationship. Some come with shame and with guilt, and so as a result of that, they're not willing to be as expressive as the other partner may want. Some people may have been abused in their past, and so they're very rigid, and they're not willing to open up. Sometimes husbands and wives have different sexual libidos, you know, whether someone's...
That is true.
That's very true. And usually the person with the lowest libido controls the sexual relationship. And so now you have frustration that sets in. And, you know, oftentimes we deal with infidelity and cheating. You know, cheating sometimes can occur when you're cheating your partner out of what they need in that relationship. See, for men, it is a need. Right? Some women can go a month, 2 months, 3 months. For real. Let's just stop right here and talk about what... If you poll...
Because I'm not a dude, so I don't know.
For men, it is a need. Just like women have a need for affection, men have a need for sexual fulfillment. And unfortunately, they're getting that need met outside of that relationship. And so they wind up going into porn, prostitution, masturbation, all types of things that steer them away from the intimacy that they could have with their partner.
So we should, just as wives, we should learn to give it up.
You should learn to give it up, but listen, it should not be a duty. It should be a delight. And
Hasani, I think a lot of women, I'm going to have to press the issue here, because I think a lot of women feel like it is a duty.
Unfortunately, it is a duty, because a lot of men haven't learned how to nurture their wives and create an atmosphere of romance to make a woman desirable enough to want to go and do it. And so if it becomes, you better do it, you know, that's your responsibility as a wife, then the whole atmosphere and the culture of the relationship is not conducive for lovemaking.
So you're talking about doing foreplay with your wife that is emotional.
And you know what? Foreplay begins at the beginning of the day. It's not just something to physically turn your partner on, but you have to make love to her mind, make love to her emotions, and get her ready in the early beginning of that day. And throughout the day, nurture it, right?
Is there anything as women we can do to help him nurture that?
Women and men need to communicate better. You know, it's interesting. No matter what problems we talk about today, at the end of the day, it all comes down to communication. So when we're dealing with financial issues or parenting issues or anything, communication is not clear. And what happens is we don't take the time to really listen, to understand and assess the needs of our partner. And if we're not meeting those emotional needs, it could affect us in the bedroom.
And everywhere. And money. Money, money, money.
Money's a big problem.
Huge.
Because if I'm a hoarder, if you're a spender, if we have different types of philosophies in terms of what we do with our money, if I'm a tither, you're not, we're going to have conflict in our relationship. If I'm one that needs to pay the bills on time every single month, and you're the type of person, oh, I'll get to it when I get to it, now we're in conflict, right? Because we have issues that we didn't have to deal with if we handled our money appropriately. And we're finding that many people, the #1 reason for divorce today is money.
Hello.
Either the lack thereof or the mismanagement of what we do have.
And so how can we better get on the same page with our finances, though, especially if there's fundamental differences in that area?
I think for many couples, we have to unlearn what we have learned and start anew. I think it's important to understand the styles that we bring into the relationship and then create something that works for the both of us. For instance, if I'm the husband, but I don't do a good job of managing money, but that's your natural gift and talent, let me hand that over to you. That doesn't mean it relinquishes me of any responsibility, but you are at the helm in that area of our relationship. You know, my wife and I...
And that's not gender...
no, that's not
so
gender
you're saying
specific.
That's just... Okay.
No, there are roles that both genders need to play in a relationship, but if you have a strength that's my weakness, then you need to pick up where you're strong.
Makes sense.
I think that as couples, we need to go to counseling. We need to read books that may help us in certain areas. We may need to get marriage mentors, being around other people who do things in an appropriate way that we can glean from. And by having that holistic approach, it will help us to be better in our finances, be better with our communication, be better with our sex, in terms of how we parent. And that's another issue, parenting.
And that is probably one of the biggest responsibilities in a marriage.
It really is. My philosophy is this: partners first, parents second. I think a lot of times when we have children, the roles change, the priorities change, and so we go from husband and wife to mommy and daddy. And so as a result, we put so much attention into our children that our relationship suffers. But as I always say, the best gift that you can ever give your child is the relationship that you have with your partner. Because if there's love, right, if there's harmony within that home, then the kids will glean from that, because children learn from observation and participation. So it's not about the lessons we give our children. They learn by what they see, and what they see they will wind up displaying in their own relationships when they reach the age of accountability.
Ooh, you just hit me in the hard way, because my son just threw a temper tantrum and I saw myself. I saw myself in him. But let me ask you about do the brain of a woman and a man really think that differently? Like, do we come at life differently as male and female in the marriage partnership?
Men and women are completely wired completely differently. We think differently, we process differently, we behave differently, we even communicate differently. And if we, see, the thing is, what's happening is, as husbands, we're trying to turn our women into men. Wives are trying to turn their husbands into women, not recognizing the uniqueness that we bring into the relationship. And see, as I always say, compatibility is not getting your partner to think like you and act like you. Compatibility is identifying the differences and learning how to work those differences into the relationship so that it's harmonious.
What things should we talk about? Talk to the engaged couples or the dating couples out there that are thinking about jumping into marriage. What are some of the things you would tell them before they even make that step? Well,
my philosophy when it comes to non-married couples, if they're trying to pursue marriage, I try to make it extremely hard and difficult as possible for them to say I do. Because if I can make it as challenging as possible, when they do get married, it won't be so easy to get a divorce. Well, through our organization, Couples Academy, there are many things that we do. We teach classes, we have challenges, we have counseling, we have all types of events. You know, we create an environment that is conducive for them to really assess where they are as individuals, you know, figuring out what the challenges they're currently experiencing in their relationship and what they need to resolve. Many people think marriage is a problem solver, and it's not. It just magnifies the problems that you already have in your relationship. And so if you don't deal with them before I do, they will come out after you say I do. And so it's about working through those issues beforehand so that you can have a wonderful, harmonious relationship when you do get married. Now, that doesn't mean that there aren't going to be challenges.
Yeah.
There are always challenges to life. But if you don't know how to communicate, communicate. If you don't know how to, resolve conflict in the relationship, then, there's a high probability that that relationship may not work.
So a lot of times in our relationships, in our marriages, it's just bad habits.
Bad habits, because we are habitual people. We come with our own set of values, our own set of norms, and oftentimes they're in conflict with our partners. And then there are annoying behaviors, right? And annoying habits that we bring into the relationship, and we turn these little molehills into huge mountains, and they wind up destroying our relationships.
Like what kind of bad habit? What was your bad habit, Hasani?
Lord, you want me to put myself on Front Street.
Put it out there.
Like if I have a habit of, as soon as I come into the house, I throw my keys on the table, I take my shoes off, and I kick them across the room. And if my wife's a woman who's orderly, then that's going to cause a problem, right?
Now
and
you're speaking my language.
If I don't get that together, it's going to get under her skin. It's just like a dripping faucet that keeps dripping and dripping and dripping until it eventually has a profound effect. And it's usually not the major issues. We usually can deal with these major issues. It's these little type of annoyances that really work a marriage.
Yep. That's the truth. Why do you think people are getting divorced? The divorce rate is just going up, even in the Christian community.
I think that generations ago, no matter what couples went through, they had a mentality that they are going to stay. They're going to stick it out no matter what. I think we are in a different culture today. I don't think that we have the same level of lifelong commitment that our parents and our grandparents.
So it's not that the marriages were any better back then.
No,
they just sustained it.
No, a lot of people were more private. They swept their issues under the carpet. They didn't deal with those issues, but they were there. But they had a different sense of commitment and community. We don't have that today. There's so many things that are attacking marriages today. I mean, you have the laws are even changing. We're redefining marriage. You have so many people that are getting married later in life. They want to cohabitate. People are having, sex outside of marriage that is resulting in unplanned pregnancies. And so all of these dynamics are affecting people coming together and having committed, loving relationships.
Do men really want committed, loving? Because you hear the stereotype of men really not wanting to get married, the ultimate bachelor and bachelor forever. Do men really have a desire to be married?
When I poll men ultimately do want to get married, but the thing is, we want and desire commitment at different stages and seasons in life. So oftentimes women desire it much younger in their life, men desire it, once they're older. And so what happens is about finding somebody who's in the same season that you're in, who wants the same thing at the same time. Because after men have played their games and done their dirt, as we say, then they realize, wait a minute, I'm empty inside. Something's missing. I need companionship. And so we just experience it at different seasons, and I think that becomes the challenge in relationships.
Well, do you speak to the woman, that woman of desperation? You know what I mean? Because we long for that naturally, Hasani.
Yes.
We're born to desire, you guys.
It's so interesting because women do operate out of their desperation, and oftentimes they make very bad decisions. One of the biggest problems that I see that women make, they're too accommodating when it comes to men.
Hello.
I mean, they will just go above and beyond and overboard to accommodate a man. I mean, we switch roles. Now you have women pursuing men, women courting men.
It's the truth.
It's ridiculous. And these men have turned these females into free males, right? He'll drive her car for free, eat in her house for free, live in her house for free.
Her food for free.
Have his babies for free.
Hey.
Just everything for free.
Okay.
But you are a female, F-E-E, fee, a male with a fee.
Okay, you got to stay right here. We got to do another time with you. You've got to be back on. We got to talk about the single woman and how to break it down to that woman looking for a man. Hasani Pettiford, a relationship expert, come back and be with us.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. We love you. Be blessed. Know that anything is possible with God on your side. You have a purpose and a plan, and He has that for your life. We love you right here at Kim Gravel in the ATL.